Do I really need all this computer? We're going to find out by taking a month using only a MacBook. So in case people haven't realized by my constant influx of technology kind of jargon and speak and interest on this channel, I'm a huge tech buff. I love technology, probably to an unhealthy, obsessive degree, considering all the amount of money I spend on technology that I probably don't really need to and shouldn't, considering my limited financial resources in general. One of the big things that I always sink a lot of money into, and I think with good reason, is my desktop computer, which is my workstation, and then a laptop computer, which is, a portable workstation for when I'm away from home. Ever since I started buying computers for myself, when I started having disposable income to a significant degree, in around 2006-ish, so 10 years now, that's the setup I've used in one way or another. Now smartphone is in on the equation as well, but I've always had a desktop and I've always had a laptop. Back in the day, I think that was pretty understandable. Today, however, with laptops being the bulk of the computer market, I'm starting to wonder if I'm wasting my time and wasting my money. And let me explain what I mean by that. I build computers. I don't buy pre-configured machines from the store. I always will purchase the components on Newegg, put the rig together, make sure I get the best bang for my buck. But the downside to that is that it takes a lot of time to put a rig together. I mean, not like a ridiculous amount of time, but in terms of, doing the research, finding the best components, looking up all the specs, trying to find the best price, having it come to the house, waiting for all the parts to ship at different times, and then putting it all together, testing it, making sure it works, getting all the cable management done so the case is nice and neat on the inside and airflow is really good, and then trying to get the Windows license installed and blah, 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 blah. There's a lot more time involved in building a machine than just clicking buy it now and waiting for it to come in from Dell or whatnot. And for me, I'm very much like a realist when it comes to spending my time. Anything I'm doing that's not drawing is time I should be spent drawing and working on Sorcerer's Lost. Even shooting these videos is kind of I'm always measuring the amount of time I need to put into this channel versus that, because Sorcerer's Lost is like the big thing. So that's one thing, is that it takes a lot of time, but even more importantly, it takes a lot of money, and I don't know if that money is actually worth it anymore, because laptops are the big ticket item right now in the PC market. And even the PC market itself is kind of in a decline overall. But laptops, by a huge margin, are where everyone's spending their time now. Manufacturers are spending much more time building good laptops than they are building desktops. Desktop's been pretty much stagnant for the last 5 or so years. Even guys like Intel and AMD are focused way more on putting hardware into laptops than they are with desktops. My desktop has a 3rd generation Core i processor in it called Ivy Bridge. And compared to the processors out now, the new ones are barely any faster despite being 3 or 4 years newer, because performance hasn't been a big deal for Intel. They're just focusing on making it more power efficient for laptops. So if laptops are where all the action's going on and performance hasn't increased at all, but performance is still getting way better on notebooks, is it worth it to have a desktop anymore? Like, we can argue the benefits of desktops all day, the expandability, the much better, bang for your buck ratio. But that comes to probably the most important point of all, is that, do I need all the power that I have? Because right now I have a high-end Ivy Bridge Core i7, 32 gigs of RAM, a 256 gig SSD, a 2 terabyte hard drive, and a GTX 960 graphics card. Not the best rig in the world, but pretty good, all things considered. But the thing is like, when I'm away from my desk, I work on my MacBook Pro, which has, a fourth of the RAM, like less than half the CPU speed. It doesn't have the terabyte hard drive, but I've never really noticed a huge dip in performance in my day-to-day usage. I mean, especially obviously in just things like browsing the web, but even when I work, the only times I ever see a significant increase in performance on my desktop versus my laptop is when I'm doing video rendering, and even then it's like, okay, I have to spend 40 minutes waiting for the video to render as opposed to 15. Big difference, but does it really have a big real-world impact on my productivity? And the answer is no. And on top of that, I'm already considering spending $2,000 more on a new desktop next year, because next year is when all the new CPUs are going to come out that have more performance than the one I currently have in my system. And I don't need more performance, but just because the numbers, and I'm a technophile, I'm obsessed with technology, because the numbers are better, I want to go get the more numbers. I'm going to spend $2,000 I don't really need to spend for a machine that's already more powerful than anything I really need. So the question becomes, can I get away with just owning a notebook considering my personal workflow? And that's what I want to find out in the next 30 days. So what I've done is I've hooked up my laptop to my desktop workstation. So I got my dual monitors and my good keyboard and mouse and blah, blah, blah. They're hooked up to my MacBook. The MacBook is just like getting destroyed. All of its ports are currently occupied right now. So I need to start getting some more wireless gear if this experiment works out. But, you know, I'll just unplug it all and throw the Mac in the bag when I need to get out. But other than that, it's going to sit here on the desk and I'll just work here. And for the next 30 days, I'm going to do all of SL. I'm going to do all my video editing, do everything on the Mac, which is significantly less powerful than my PC. If I can get everything done and I don't need the desktop anymore, I know that you can either A, just keep using my desktop for the foreseeable future, or sell it off and just keep using notebooks. Like, the expandability is a big part of the desktop experience, and I find that I use that too much. You know, I buy graphics cards and more hard drives and things like that. When I don't really need them, it's just because I can. Then I spend all this time browsing Newegg looking for good deals to upgrade my desktop when I should be, again, using that time to draw or to work on this channel or something productive. It's so easy for someone like me who's obsessed with technology to get lost in it and let the technology itself overshadow what I got the technology for in the first place, which is to create things. So this has been a long, ranty video, but I just wanted to say, like, in the back of like all the other stuff is gonna go on for the next 30 days, this is an experiment I'm gonna be doing. And I'll check back every now and then, letting you know, like, oh, I've run into a snag, or, you know, like, this is really convenient, something like that. My name's Tom Oliver, and you've been watching Rebel Pixels, a channel all about empowering and passioning the DIY creative here on the web with a side of technology. If that's you, if you live and die by your art and technology, click the link below to subscribe to this channel. I make videos like this every week, whether it's technology-obsessed videos or tips and tricks to get your creativity even better, or motivational videos about making sure you create the best work that you can and overcome all those obstacles and hurdles that prevent you from creating every day. So if that's you, I'd love to have you join the family. Leave a comment below about what you think about desktops versus laptops. Are you a desktop guy? Are you a laptop guy? Do you use both? Where do you find you spend more of your time creating? Let me know in the comments below. So until next time, I'm Tom Oliver. This is Rebel Pixels, reminding you guys that we might be indie, but that doesn't mean that we're alone. I'll catch you all next week.